flying so far, but I can't lose it.
Hello everyone, and for the final time this season, welcome to RaceSpotTV and coverage of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship. It's a championship coronation of sorts. Adam Blocker, unfortunately, is fulfilling his duties in the IndyCar paddock, but Brandon Traino will secure this season's championship then in just under 1 hour's time. It's been a very entertaining road to get here, and we're delighted to have final coverage then of this season on RaceSpotTV. Let's take a look at the schedule quickly. Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle, hosting the season finale after a long road to get here. Our first ever season with a brand new tire and damage model. You can take a look at some very interesting tracks that we visited over the course of 12 weeks. We'll get a 1-week break before we return for season 2 of this championship. And here you can see how the standings look as we head into this final round. Brandon Traino, the 2-time Indy 500 race winner on the iRacing.com service, has a just under 100-point gap, but of course Adam Blocker is unavailable today. Brandon Traino will secure the championship after today's race. There is still some interesting fights. Brendan Lichtenberg and Christopher Demerit, they're scrapping over Division 2 honors. Chris Wilhite, though, and Demerit are having their own little battle over 4th place in the overall championship. You can also see the likes of Trevor Greenfield, Shane Burke, Phil DeWallen, Andy Fuller, Hugo Olsen. Lots of contention then between 6th through 10th positions. But it is qualifying then for the final time here in Pennsylvania. You can see 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go, and most of the cars already done with their qualifying attempts. There was, of course, a very popular league race that took place yesterday. The Indy Elite Series came to the Pocono Raceway, and a very interesting race it was. Take a look at the first car then on track as qualifying works its way through. This is Victor M. Santos. For the first time on a Monday night, we see him live in action. And looks like he's already completed his qualifying run, provisionally 13th position. It does appear as though everyone is complete with qualifying. While we're at it then, you can take a look at the provisional qualifying results on the left-hand side of the screen. But let's go ahead and take a look at next season's championship. This is the confirmed schedule for 2021 Season 2, and, well, you know my thoughts on this. Round number 2 at the Nürburgring VLN circuit, that will be one to watch out for. But of course, some interesting circuits that we will visit. Round 9, that's of course your Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Edition, where we'll go and race around the Brickyard's road configuration, before we return 2 weeks later to the famed Brickyard 4. Our version of the Indianapolis 150, I do believe it will be, based on the race length. But qualifying then comes to a close for the final time this season. Let's go trackside and take a look at the starting grid here from Pocono. It's an all-team talent front row then with Jason Brophy of 41, 155 securing pole position. Andreas Eek on his outside, just under 200th of a second separating those two drivers. The champion in waiting, Brandon Traino, he'll line up on the inside of row number 2. Andrew Wood makes it 3 Team Talent cars in the top 4. Christopher Merritt in 5th, Brendan Lichtenberg in 6th. And then Marco Brazil representing Team Maxon for the first time. He'll be in 7th position with the Indy Elite champion Philip Kraus on his outside. AJ Burton for Team i5G lines up in 9th, with John Downing returning to a Monday night on the edge of the top 10. Andrew Marquez for Loose Nut Racing, he'll line up in 11th with Marcos Villar on the outside of him. That's row number 6. We continue cycling our way through the grid then. Victor M. Santos, Matt Hollowbo, 13th and 14th respectively. Chris Wilhite's got a lot of work to do from back there in 15th position. Very important championship points on offer for him today. Vilde Wallen on his outside. Alexis Newsom, Christian Macarelli, the first 2 cars not setting qualifying times, and they'll round out our 18-car field. Whenever these trumpets play, you get hyped on RaceSpotTV, and we get set to go racing for 85 laps at the Tricky Triangle. Why is it called the Tricky Triangle, you wonder? Well, all 3 corners are very different. The straights, very different lengths as well. And with open setup in-car tools for the drivers to play with, watch out for which of our 18 cars, yes, I was just checking, will adapt the best to the challenge that this race will throw at them. The pace car pulls them off the grid then, and they'll work around the 2.5 mile circuit for this very long formation lap. Take a look at the weather conditions. 26 degrees is your air temperature. Rather warm, 34 degrees in terms of a track temperature. 13 km/h gusts of wind. Let's see how big a factor that plays out throughout the entirety of today's race. 85 laps as mentioned. And with cautions being very, very tedious here. Let's see how this goes. By the way, if you were wondering, my name is Arjuna Kankipati. You're watching the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship live on RaceSpotTV. I've got cameras from TrackCams22.com and Istvan Ballo. Additional car cameras provided by RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxon. You can follow along with live timing and scoring at timing71.org as long as I hit the button in time, as I do that just in time. So head over there to follow along with the best in the real and virtual worlds, using their world-class suite of data analysis tools. Adam Blocker on assignment in Monterey at Laguna Seca, where the IndyCar tests were ongoing. He was engineering a certain former F1 driver who'll be returning to the IndyCar paddock this season. Championship already decided, though. Brandon Traino inside of row 2. 85 laps to go before we'll crown him your brand new series champion. Marking the first time in several years a non-Powerslide Motorsports driver will take home this championship. On the front row then, Jason Brophy picks up the throttle very early on, and we go green flag racing for the final time this season. Will they fan out 3 wide? Are they due further back in your pack? I think Andrew Marquez had a very poor jump. Brophy leads them down into turn 1. Brandon Traino managed to get up into second side by side with Eek. Ooh! Well, they almost make contact there. Eek manages to hold on. And Brandon Traino slots into line as we thunder our way down into the tunnel. Second turn, rather. I think Marco Brazil might have also had a fairly poor getaway. That early jump might really have caught some people out. Take a look at this aerial look brought to us by ATVO. And Matt Hollowbo down the inside, very bold, tries to get to the inside of Brazil as well. Around the outside, Victor Santos now tries to take advantage rather on the inside. In front of them, that's Marcos Villar as we cross the line. Incredible racing action here at the Pocono Raceway. Back out front, though, Brandon Traino down the inside once again, as his teammate Christopher Demerit rides on in 5th. Let's jump on board with Demerit. Pulls to the inside of Andrew Wood as we take a look at the RaceSpotTV onboard. Too wide, too deep down into turn 2. Eek is going to have to slot back into line. His teammate will hold it around the outside, use that draft, and he'll hold on to 4th position then. Cars thunder their way down through turn number 3. Demerit all the way up into the wall. I think Lichtenberg lost a lot of momentum. He'll have to defend from his teammate. Meanwhile, Team Talent teammates, Andrew Wood down the inside. Traino has managed to get past the red Team Talent machine. And further back as well, looks like Philip Kraus is trying to get in on some of this fun as Brandon Traino looks to the inside of Andrew Wood once again. Kraus slots back into line. Through turn 2. Traino unable to get the momentum. This is incredible stuff. 85 laps still to go. Very different lines being taken, and of course, all in that search for clean air. Brophy leads across the line then to complete lap 3. Andrew Wood in second. His teammate Brandon Traino, champion in waiting, in third. And Eek, who started in second, is now down into fourth. Demerit and Lichtenberg squabbling over the Division 2 championship. They're in fifth and sixth respectively then, as their teammate in front, Brandon Traino, once again peeks the inside. These cars are starting to get slightly separated from the cars further back, as Traino still down the inside of the wood-colored Team Talent machine. Oh, they're getting very close to one another, entering into the corners. Speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour throughout the entirety of turn 3. Car control on display is something to behold. Take a look at the rearward shot then on board with Jason Brophy. You get a really good indication of how the momentum builds as these cars exit the corner on that high line. Brophy's teammate able to carry the momentum, 350 kilometers an hour, diving their way down into turn 2. Traino looks to the inside. Does he make it work? I don't think he did. It's going to be a very interesting game of patience here, as we'll now jump on board with Philip Kraus. He'll look to the inside of AJ Burden, who ran very wide, maybe affected by some of this dirty air. And you can see further behind them, Marco Brazil now finds himself 1 second behind your race leaders. Teammates squabbling out front. Ooh, and that's going to be our first caution of the day. Who is it? Who's involved in this one? Looks like Philip Kraus is involved. And I think someone in our YouTube chat might just have put the curse down on your reigning Indy Elite champion. AJ Burden upside down, Philip Kraus in the wall. And my word, let's take a look then at the first of our RaceSpotTV replays of today's race. Down to the inside from Kraus, Burton a bit slow. Very difficult to judge from that vantage point. We'll take one more look at it from a slightly different aerial angle. Thanks to TrackCams22.com for the plethora of aerial angles I have at my disposal. And you'll see here as we go down into the super slow-mo, Kraus up the track, Burden with that superior run on the outside. And now you'll see Burden goes upside down. Wonderful to see the new damage model in effect. I don't know if either of these cars will be too happy at how that played out. One more look at the RaceSpotTV replay then, in the super slow-mo as well. And you'll see here the contacts made. Wonder who's going to come down onto pit road this time around. Great camera shot there. Cameraman got a really up-close view of AJ Burden upside down through the aero screen. Aero screen saving lives as per usual. Back to live pictures then. And under caution for the first time today. 85 laps on the agenda. For the first time, Jason Brophy no longer in the race lead. His teammate Andrew Wood now finds himself out front. Brandon Traino third, Andreas Eek down into fourth. Left-hand side of the screen, check in with the movers and shakers in today's race. Andrew Wood has rocketed up 3 positions so far. His teammate down 2, back into fourth, and then you can see Kraus and Burden, the big losers, down 9 positions each. Who's coming down onto pit road then? Wood stays out. Traino fakes. Brophy commits. His teammate commits behind him as well. Split strategies then here. You can see a number of cars have elected to stay out. Number more coming down onto pit road. Look at them swarming their way down. So it's Brophy, Eek, Marcos Villar, Matt Hollabo, John Downing, Vilde Wallen, Alexis Newsom, Chris Wilhite. Still struggling all the way back in 15th position in that battle for 4th place in this championship. and then Christian Macarelli as well. Very quick pit stops there. 8 seconds just about for everybody. Doesn't look like too many changes as the cars work their way off the pit road. Can also confirm that thanks to the generosity of an anonymous member of the iRacing IndyCar community, RaceSpotTV will have continued coverage of official iRacing competitions this year. We will have continued coverage of this Monday night strength of field race for the entirety of Season 2. We'll take one more look at that schedule up on your screen right now. It does, of course, mean that I no longer can compete in the strength of field race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife in round number 2. But that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. Should be a very exciting road to another championship finale, this time at Detroit and the streets of Belle Isle. The question is, Adam Blocker, Brandon Traino with their real-world commitments, one in IndyCar, one in NASCAR, how many races will they be able to participate in? How will the points shake out then at the top of this field once again? Will we see, for a second time in 2 consecutive seasons, a first time iRacing IndyCar Open champion? It is also going to be an exceptionally busy week live on RaceSpotTV. I think our busiest week of the year so far. Very much reminiscent of some of the weeks we had last year. So if you're not already following us for your sim racing coverage, head on over to the various social medias at RaceSpotTV across of YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a follow. If you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, first, what are you doing? Second, hit that red button, the bell next to it as well. You'll get notified every time we go live with some of the great sim racing series we get to cover. If you're a fan of American open wheel competition, Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX will kick off this week exclusively on RaceSpotTV and ESTV. You can catch the opening round of the Lionheart Retro Series on Thursday, but first, the Lionheart IndyCar Series, excuse me. This coming Wednesday, live at 10:35 Eastern, 7:35 Pacific. HyperX Miami 200. Lights are off on the pace car then. We're about to get back to green flag racing. 9 laps will have been complete. Still 76 laps left to work here at Pocono. It'll be Andrew Wood leading you to the green flag. Brandon Traino, champion in waiting, right behind him. Christopher Demare, Brendan Lichtenberg, as a result of those pit stops, now find themselves up into 3rd and 4th in their quest for the very prestigious Division 2 championship. Pace car down onto the safety of pit road, then once again, throttle gets picked up very early on. Look at them weaving, trying to keep into that draft. And across the start-finish line, we work then. Matt Hollabaugh already looks to the inside, trying to get something done amongst some of those cars that have pitted. Andrew Wood, Brandon Traino side by side, but there is the battle between Matt Hollabaugh and Marcus Villar. John Downing will look to the inside, coming through turn 1. He'll get the position as well at the front, though, still side by side. And let's turn our attention toward them as they come through turn number 2, rocketing their way into the lead. Brandon Traino now clears Andrew Wood, who finds himself without any teammates to help him. Oh, and we got a flip in the background. Who was that? Big incident. Yellow flag waves once again. And John Downing involved. Big damage then to the right rear. In fact, to every corner of that car. And he'll do a quick 360 and have to reset back onto pit road. RaceSpotTV replay for the second time today. Marcus Villar on the outside. Oh, that's just hard to tell. We'll take one more look at it from the aerial look once again. I just wonder if Villar comes down from the wall into the path of John Downing here. We'll get a good look at it through turn 2. Go into our super slow-mo as well. And you can see there, Downing does come up slightly, but by the same token, So does Villar come down. I tell you what, we'll spool it back one more time and see if we can jump on board with Vilderwall, and this will be a great look on board here with the RaceSpotTV replay. Wallen works down to the inside. We'll slow it down here. Ooh, from that angle, it doesn't look like Marcos Villar really did anything wrong, to be completely honest. So my first indication there may be slightly wrong. Very unfortunate for Villar, who is having a very impressive debut in this series. Back under caution then we are. And Alexander Van der Sant says I need to break out the telestrator. Yes, I really should. As I mentioned yesterday. Yes, it was yesterday. No, it wasn't. It was Saturday. Wow, time really flies. Who's coming down onto pit road, though? Andrew Wood, the only car that seems to have committed so far. No one else seems to have followed him down. So Wood will regroup at the back of the field with his teammates. And as I did mention on Saturday, you're not really a RaceSpotTV producer until you break out the yellow pen tool. But since we are under caution then for the second time today, let's go ahead and take our first commercial break here live on RaceSpotTV. We'll be right back after these messages from our partners.
To be the best, one must beat the best. Ovals, road courses, the streets of iconic cities, race after race, the top sim racing IndyCar stars will battle it out. In sim racing, it doesn't get any better than this. This is their battleground. For the checkered flag, for the glory, for the right to say they are the best. The cars and stars of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, presented by Butt Kicker, are ready to race. Sim racers from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beast wheel to wheel around the hallowed grounds. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet. Perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of the early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series, presented by Sim Experience, starts now.
Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and coverage of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship. We're under caution for the second time today. Brandon Traino, champion in waiting, finds himself at the front of the field. His teammates now in second and third. Christopher Demerit, Brendan Lichtenberg, Marco Brazil up into fourth with Victor Santos in fifth. Lights are off on the pace car. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing for the second time today. Been an interesting race so far. We saw very early on just how chaotic racing here at the Pocono Raceway can be. One of the few tracks on the NASCAR calendar not owned by the sanctioning body. Unfortunately, no longer hosts IndyCar competition in the real world yet, but we can still come racing here, live on the iRacing.com service. Pace car will pull down onto the safety of pit road then for the third time today. Brandon Traino at the front of the field for the first time today, and his teammates behind him will look to try and clear some of the competition behind. Split pitch strategies are in effect. Try saying that 3 times fast. Traino picks up the throttle. Green flag waves. Back to green flag racing we go. Victor Santos already looking to the inside of Marco Brazil down into turn 1. And look at them fanning their way out 2 and 3 wide. Just 2 wide for now. Andreas Eek, Matt Hollebow side by side for 9th and 10th positions. And the rest of your field thundering their way in towards turn 2 once again. Victor Santos behind him. He sees the likes of Jason Brophy and Matt Hollebow on those fresh tires, starting to work their way back up to these leading cars. And Christopher Demerit, Brandon Traino, they've swapped at the front of the field. Super Speedway Racing. You often see this. And across the line, Demerit will lead for the very first time. Andreas Eek still tucked up behind Matt Hollebow. Let's jump on board. Get a good look here from the right side of the cockpit at the different lines being taken. Superior momentum for Hollebow in the 8 in front. And now look at him gaining on Jason Brophy in front of him as well. So these cars on fresher tires trying to make them work here early in the run. In front of them, though, Andrew Marquez on the older tires. Here comes Brophy to the inside. Makes it look very easy at the amount of grip he has. Doesn't have the momentum, though. Hollebow does. He backs out of it. Doesn't want to force the issue further back in the pack. And meanwhile, in front of these guys, swap drafting at the front of your field has cleared Christopher Demerit and Brandon Traino away from Brendan Lichtenberg by 1.3 seconds. Matt Hollebow finds himself up into 7th, now the first car that's come down onto pit road. And we're still looking at these great aerial shots brought to us by ATVO, graphical partners at RaceSpotTV. Working lap 16 out of 85 then. Long race here. And of course, they used to race for 500 miles. Matt Hollebow realized he doesn't have that much time. Around the outside of Andrew Marquez, up into 6th position. You can see the visual separation that Traino and Demerit now have from their teammate in a bit of clean air. Marco Brazil, Victor Santos as well working in relatively clean air. Out front still swap drafting, but Demerit out front. Now Jason Brophy tries to get on past Andrew Marquez in the Wawa colored car. In towards turn 3. I think Andreas Eek will try and take advantage as well now. Brophy checks up his momentum off the corner. A wonderful offboard look from the left side of the car. Brophy will dive his way down in towards turn number 1. And of course, a couple cars now having retired from the race. 18 cars took to the green flag, 14 still running. And for the most part, single file up and down throughout the field. Love these static cameras. You get such a good indication of the speed that these cars carry, not just through the straightaways, but through the corners as well. They are starting to build up battles once again. Andrew Wood and Andreas Eek. Woodith, who of course came down onto pit road the last time around, interestingly, tucks up on to the inside right behind Andrew Marquez. His teammate will go around the outside. And here comes that momentum from Woodith. Unable to convert it, Marquez slots back up in between the two teammates and behind Andreas Eek. Andrew Wood still stuck. On board then with Jason Brophy in the number 88 car, all the way down to the yellow line he goes. And look at the run he got as compared to Matt Hollebow. Will jump off this onboard. You can see behind them as well, and Andrew Wood is trying to get past Andrew Marquez. Lots of action here. Down in towards turn 1, your main passing opportunity. And as we work lap 20, then now this is when those tires will start to come into effect. The left-hand side of the screen, you can see the number of laps that these cars have done on their set of tires. Of course, watch for Andrew Wood on the freshest set of them all. in the top 10 right now. As these cars on fresher rubber do start to catch the cars in front. Jason Brophy is now right behind Victor Santos for 5th. And they're only a couple of seconds down the road from Marco Brazil in the Team Maxon Dallara IR18. Tires do seem to be wearing on these cars, though, at the front of the train. They obviously only had 1 lap on their tires when the caution came out. Shouldn't necessarily be too much wear on them, but nevertheless, does seem to be a bit of a concern as they now lose the draft from Victor Santos very slightly. Look at Jason Brophy getting not just onto that yellow line, but below the yellow line as well. Just a little bit concerned when you see cars doing that. We'll check in with our race leaders, though, out front. Brandon Traino still tucked up behind his teammate. And in this battle for the very prestigious and illustrious Division 2 championship, Brandon Traino will secure your overall championship. No one cares about that. It's all about Division 2. Christopher Demerit, Brandon Traino. Christopher Demerit, Brendan Lichtenberg. The cars doing battle. This will help Demerit. Brophy has managed to get past Victor Santos, both in very lime green colored machines. Brophy still dives his way below the yellow line. Matt Hollabo has fallen off the pace, though. Now he defends from Andrew Wood. No assistance from the teammate. If I was Andreas Eek, I might have just pulled my way down a car lane, helped out my teammate, and in this battle with Hollabo behind, Hollabo commits himself up onto the outside. Wood is down on that low line, converts that position up into 8th. Hollabo's car does seem to be struggling at this point in the run. Let's jump on board once again through turn 3. All the way down into 3rd gear for a moment there, you'll notice. Car is not rotating very well at all. Twitchy on exit. Not the balance that you would really want at this point in the run. And he's losing track of the cars in front of him. Victor Santos, by the way, doing a great job to stick right behind Jason Brophy. 2 teammates squabbling it out right behind as well. Take a look off the rear wing of Victor Santos in the number 12. Two teammates slotted into line behind as well. Gap between 2nd and 3rd up to 2.1 seconds. As another car works its way all the way down below the yellow line. Andreas Eek really checks himself up. And his teammate will come across the line, say thank you very much, up into 7th position. Back out front, still just 0.2 of a second between the 2 teammates. Seems like 1 car in line doesn't seem to be so bad, but stacking yourself multiple cars up in a line, especially as we work through the later portions of these runs, not the ideal situation, as the Barrett will lead across the line for the 25th lap out of 85. So we've still got 60 laps here to go. When will these cars come down onto pit road? And of course, how will that work? Because green flag pit stops, especially at these speeds, can be very tricky. I don't think I've actually finished a race at Pocono before. Mostly of my own doing, let's be honest. Doesn't help that I have done most of my Pocono races, or the few that I've attempted, in Indy Fixed, which has a bit of a reputation sometimes for being a bit tougher. Meanwhile, Jason Brophy is unable to close the gap to Marco Brazil in front on these fresh tires. And Victor Santos doing a great job behind as well to hold off the teammates behind. Brophy, who is signed up with the private label Team Hype Squad, who will be competing as a 3-man Operation Lionheart, but I do believe still representing team talent on occasion. We'll see how that goes. Down the inside, Andrew Wood makes it look very easy on Victor Santos. And we jump on board with Andreas Eek. Take a look at the RaceSpotTV onboard. He tucks himself right into that dirty air. That does not help the momentum out of the corner. Out of turn 3. He's not going to be close enough to make this one stick. Look at the different lines being taken, though, this time around. Santos will slide in, try and feed some of that dirty air into Eek from behind. And as Woodith in front starts to pull away down to the inside, thinks better of it. Really doesn't want to risk anything at this point in time. The gap between him and his teammate, though, now up to 1 second. He'll look down to the low line, try and find that clean air. Matt Hollabo from behind is closed up to within 0.8 of a second. Watch for Santos and Hollabo to do battle then in the next few laps as Andreas Eek down to the inside, down into turn 1. And Santos will fight this one back. Momentum on the outside to Santos. Eek will hold the inside line. No assistance from the teammate once again. And Andreas Eek will still stick to the inside line. Victor Santos up in the third lane. Slides his way back down to the inside, trying to get into the draft. Defend from Matt Hollabo from behind. And we jump on board with the number 8 machine now, who gets cut off by the lime green machine in front of him. And potentially one of the few members of the iRacing IndyCar community that is taller than myself, Matt Hollabo at a gargantuan 6'7". Starting to recover after that car started to struggle midway through the run. Gaps really have started to form, though, within the top 5. Just 0.2 of a second still between the teammates out front. Lichtenberg has found himself cut off from his 2 teammates, 3 seconds adrift. Marco Brazil, a further 3 seconds adrift. And Andrew Wood, a further 3 seconds back from that as well. So 10 seconds separate the top 6. But with 14 cars still out there circulating, no danger, I would think, of lap traffic being a factor. At least not for a large number of laps. The last time around for your race leader, a 42.002. Lap times have fallen off by about 2 or 3/10 of a second. A very consistent run so far. This battle further back continues to heat on up. Victor Santos doing an incredible job to hold on. Andrew Marquez, who hasn't pitted as well, is taking advantage. Look at how close he's managed to pull. And a driver at 1 point, 5th place in the championship. Looks to the inside. Hollabo will roll the momentum on the outside. They've lost themselves about 0.7 of a second of the cars in front. Not what you want to do when you're fighting side by side. Out front, your 2 race leaders not really content to battle with one another. They continue to extend the advantage. Oh, his first car down onto pit road. First taker onto pit lane, Marco Brazil. So the Team Maxon driver will come down onto pit road as you see the distressed number 9 car of AJ Burden, who has been stationary in pit lane for 26 minutes. Still no repairs finished on that car. Brazil up on the jacks then. First car down onto the lane under green flag conditions. Here comes the race leaders, I do believe. So 9.6 seconds stationary, and Brazil is going to feed out right behind your race leaders. If a caution flies, he finds himself 1 lap down. So very, very interesting. When will the rest of the field come down onto pit road? Where does Brazil feed out? That's more important. Right behind Brendan Lichtenberg. I don't know if Lichtenberg will be too disappointed at this. Brazil on those fresher tires might be able to slip on past. And with the gap between 2nd and 3rd up to 4 seconds, maybe this is what will help Lichtenberg close the gap up to the leaders out front. Demerit down onto pit road, though. So pit window is open. His teammate sticks out there, down in towards turn 1. Traino dives. And who will follow Christopher Demerit onto pit road? Victor Santos still out there on track, as is Andrew Marquez, it would appear. So Demerit will make his way onto his box. And what's the time for him? It was 9.6 seconds for Marco Brazil. 10.1 for Demerit. So a little bit more fuel being put into that car. And where does that feed? Demerit out. Got some clean air. And now his teammate, Brendan Lichtenberg, down onto pit road. So now expecting the flood of cars who didn't come down under either of our previous cautions to make their way onto pit road. Brandon Traino, Victor Santos, Andrew Marquez, those cars we're expecting. Here comes Santos and Marquez committing. That will leave Brandon Traino as the only car out there on track not to come down onto pit road. While we were looking at some of the action on pit road, action on track, Jason Brophy, Andrew Wood doing a bit of that swap drafting. Brophy down the inside in through turn 2. Working lap 36 out of 85 then. One of our 2 pit windows. At the very tricky triangle at Pocono. Santos still out there. Sorry, Santos is rolling out of pit road right now as Brandon Traino makes his way down pit lane. Where is Traino gonna feed out? Where's his teammate in comparison to some of that dirty air? There is Christopher Demerit coming down into turn 3. Of course, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile that we'll see in next season's official IndyCar schedule. Traino off the jacks, back up to pit speed. Now up to race speed as well. Where will Traino come out in comparison to his teammate? He's out in front. And jumping on board with Demerit, who's already built up all of that momentum. 330 kilometers an hour out of turn 1. Brandon Traino in the race lead. But Demerit and Traino back to doing swap drafting, I would think then. In just a few minutes' time. Interesting battle then. Swap drafting here between Brophy and Wood as well. And this now becomes a strategy battle. Victor Santos still on pit road. Might have had a speeding penalty, so interesting there. Chris Wilhite coming down onto pit road this time around, though, so second pit stop for the Ohio native. As we'll wait and see what the pit road time is for Wilhite. 8.4 seconds stationary. And he'll roll off pit road, now 1 lap down from the entirety of the field. About to get to the halfway point then of this race. A couple of cars still yet to come down onto pit road, maybe trying to extend this as far as they can. Jason Brophy, Andrew Wood doing a great job out front, controlling this portion of the race. Teammates behind, not enjoying it as much. Victor Santos, by the way, finally rolls off of pit road. I tell you what, let's spool up the replay machine. Been waiting for opportunities to do this on an oval course. Oh! That's why Victor Santos spent so long on pit road? Alright, RaceSpotTV replay to take a look at then. We'll have to spool it back even further. You see he'll lose it on the entry onto the pit road. Andrew Marquez recognizes the situation in front of him, takes avoiding action. And here we go, let's take a look at this RaceSpotTV replay. Vilde Wallen, by the way, down onto pit road this time around. Ooh, and he locks those brakes up. And unfortunately for Victor Santos, damage sustained. We'll take one more look at it on board with Andrew Marquez. We'll spool it back slightly further to take a look at it one more time, and then we'll jump back to live pictures. A couple more cars coming down onto pit road. Matt Hollabo the last time around. And ooh, Victor Santos actually just moments away from making his way into the tire wall. I said we were only going to take one more look at it, but I think this is going to be a very interesting look. As you can see, that trajectory just slightly off to the right. And Very, very lucky then for Santos to be able to keep going on in this race. Let's go back to live pictures. Jason Brophy this time down onto pit road. So, pit window is open for cars that came down the first time we were under caution. Andreas Eek also down onto pit road. A couple of cars, though, staying out there. Treno and Demerit separated just by 1/10 of a second still. And as they come down the start-finish line, where is Brophy in relation to them? You can see there's Eek's just gotten into his box. And as those two cars fly into turn one, Brophy now gets up to speed after dropping off the jack. So that's how that situation has played out. But of course, slightly shorter will be that final stop for some of these cars. Marco Brazil, good indication there of this battle on strategy. Second pit stop for Jason Brophy behind first for Brazil. And there's the gap between these two cars. Halfway through this race then. Started off with 18 cars taking to the green. 14 cars still out there. John Downing, Marcos Villar, our most recent retirees. And of course, Philip Kraus, AJ Burden in the first caution of the day. Victor Santos just a few laps ago with a small issue down onto pit road. But he's managed to get some damage repairs and get back up to speed. Andrew Wood now works his way onto pit road. And as the i5G teammates will re-inherit the race lead then in just a few moments' time, question really is, in relation to Brazil and Brophy, where is Wood going to come out? Into the box then for Andrew Wood. Up on the jacks he goes. Alexis Newsom behind him as well. 8.2 seconds stationary then for Wood. And he should feed out in front of Brazil and Brophy coming across the line this time around. You can see Newsom. Ooh, Andrew Marquez has lost it on the entry to pit road. Not the first time we've seen that. And ooh, caution flies then, as I think that might have a few implications on strategy. Christian Maccarelli in the lead of this race. Hasn't come down onto pit road. What is it about entries onto pit roads? And Pocono Raceway on board with Andrew Marquez. We run. And we'll get a great look here. Oh, no, not even coming down onto pit road. Slight assumption there. Marquez with a good recovery to keep that one out of the tire barriers. We'll jump off this onboard. Aerial coverage brought to us by ATVO, graphical partners at RaceSpotTV. Oh, that car just did not look settled. And so under caution we are then for the third time today. 85 laps of Pocono. And here you can see the Wawa car inches from the wall. Good recovery job there. So Maccarelli in the race lead, but of course, in the midst of a pit stop cycle, you can see left-hand side of your screen. Expect Maccarelli to dive onto the lane this time around. Question does become now, who else will come down, get a full tank of fuel? Maybe some cars further back in the pack, the likes of maybe a Matt Hollabo or a Chris Wilhite, trying something different. So Maccarelli onto the lane. Is Brophy going to commit? Ooh, Brophy does commit. Oh no, that's Santos. Or is it Brophy? Ah, no, it's Santos. Confused me with the very similarly colored cars. Onto pit road then, a number of cars come. Matt Hollabo is included in that list, as is Vilda Wallen and Andrew Marquez as well. Waiting for them to get up onto their jacks and see the pit stop times as well. Santos 3 laps down, the first off of pit road. Macarelli will come out the first of the cars that have pitted. Rest of the order will be Hollabo, Wallen, and Marquez. And let's check in out front then. Light still on the pace car. Brandon Traino still your race leader. Doesn't need the race win to secure the championship, but would be the icing on the cake. It's been, I think, an interesting road for Traino, who said that this was his first ever season building road car setups, doing that for the Apex Racing Academy as well. Must have been an interesting road to get here. They've struggled on some weeks, dominated in others. And of course, who can forget that four-wide pass of his teammate Christopher Demerit at the short tracks that really exemplified why. Not only a two-time Indy 500 race winner, the first ever two-time, first ever back-to-back, and now he'll break the stranglehold that Adam Blocker, Powerslide Motorsports have had on the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship for just under 3 years' time. I have to go all the way back. Let me take a look at my notes here. Make sure I get the year right, because I know we've got some historians in the YouTube chat. 2018 Season 3. That would be the last championship, the first championship, rather, that was won by Powerslide Motorsports on this run. Michele Costantini winning the first ever season that the Dallara IR18 was racing on the IndyCar, on the iRacing service. That championship battle featured on Friday Night Primetime with RaceSpotTV, so full circle as well. I5G winning that broadcasted title. They'll win this broadcasted title as well. Question does remain to be seen. Who will win next season, with Blocker and Traino fulfilling their real-world commitments in the NASCAR and IndyCar paddock? And if you don't include the blip on the radar that was the controversy in 2018, Powerslide Motorsports lost not champion in 2016. So, a long road, a long run. Only a couple of names to think of as well. Henry Bennett, Austin Espety, and Adam Blocker. We'll go back to green flag racing this time around, and we'll take in the sights and sounds from the Pocono Raceway. Completing lap 47 out of 85 here. Third caution of the day. Brandon Traino, Christopher Demerit at the front of the field. And main competition with some dirty air further back in the pack. The pace car pulls its way down onto the pit road. Traino picks up the throttle. Let's go back to green flag racing. Thunderous start then as we get back to green flag racing. Immense speeds here at a track that IndyCar no longer comes to race at. A very interesting challenge on offer for the drivers. Big movers then throughout the field. And Marco Brazil defending from Andreas Eek as we take a look at this onboard look, or rather this aerial look brought to us by RaceSpotTV's partners with graphics. ATVO, they've done such a good job with so much hard work over the first couple of months in 2021. Been a lot of back and forth, lots of alpha and beta versions of our brand new graphics package, and really is great to be able to bring a brand new look to sim racing broadcasts. Only slightly biased, but might be one of the best broadcast packages that are not just in virtual motorsport, but in the real world as well. Here's Alexis Newsom. We haven't talked about him so much today. but fresh tires underneath him, challenging Andreas Eek for 7th position out on track. Behind him, Chris Wilhite and Matt Holloway scrap it out. Chris Wilhite, of course, needs some championship points in his battle with Christopher Demerit for 4th place in the overall championship, but Demerit looks very strong up in 2nd. He's not just fighting for 4th in the overall championship. He's got his eyes on the Division 2 championship as well. There's so many different championships that you can have here on the iRacing service. It really is nice to celebrate all the different drivers that we have on the iRacing service. I think Matt Holloway might just have gone up into the wall. Not sure why Holloway has just lost so much momentum, but the speed continues to drop down the straightaway. Holloway 1.3 seconds behind Chris Wilhite in front. Maybe a bit of dirty air being fed by Victor Santos, a couple of laps down from the rest of the field. Chris Wilhite then has the lime green machine rocketing to the inside right behind him at the front. Still I5G 1 and 2, Brandon Trano. His coronation will come then in just over 30 laps time, but his teammate's not going to make this an easy run to the checkered flag for the final time this season. Back in 3rd position, their teammate, Brendan Lichtenberg, has cars for company for the first time in a while. There you can see Jason Brophy, Andrew Wood have closed the gap to Lichtenberg. To the inside, Brophy looks once again. He's dipped two of the tires below the yellow line on a number of occasions. Been very interesting to see how these drivers take the 3 corners of this racetrack that all operate very differently indeed. Turn 2, the only one really familiar, in that it was modeled after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but of course, Turn 1, Turn 3, very different types of corners. Gap out front, still just 1/10 of a second. Those cars with Clean Air, I5G, doing a great job to make best use of it. You do have to wonder what would have happened if cars hadn't come down onto pit road under that first caution. Andrew Wood was left all by himself to try and defend from the I5G team. But now they regroup and reform. 2.5 seconds behind the race leader. One more caution brings these guys right back into the mix. Given what we saw in those opening 9 laps, some really intense action. And Lichtenberg right now has to see Andrew Wood look to the inside. There's Jason Brophy as well. Lichtenberg rolls the momentum, holds on to that 3rd and final step on the podium just for now. It is going to be an interesting fight to the end. It's such a fast racetrack here, and it's so fast that it actually holds the record for the fastest ever 500-mile race. Average speed, 202.402 miles an hour, which when you think about the prospect of spending 2 and a bit hours in excess of 200 miles an hour, 360 kph, or 320 kph, sorry. This is a very long weekend for me on RaceSpotTV. I do apologize for some of the bumbles in today's broadcast. Bathurst 12 hours really was fun. Enzo Benito, Max Verstappen taking victory in dominant fashion. Entire lap from the rest of the field. Photo finish across the line though. Team Redline Ice Blue getting that photo opportunity with their teammates. With 30 laps to go then, we're into that final swing here at the tricky triangle. One final pit stop left on the cards. And hopefully it plays out under green flag conditions as well. Battle for 3rd continues to go on. Let's look further back in the pack at some of the other stuff going on. Here's Matt Holloway. Oh, sorry, no, this is Marco Brazil and Andreas Eek. They're scrapping it over 6th and 7th. Matt Holloway, Chris Wilhite, they're scrapping over 9th and 10th. Holloway down the inside. Past the Ohio native makes it look very easy. will jump on board here. Let's go for a lap around the Pocono Raceway down into turn 2. You'll see the effect of the draft, bringing Will Hite right onto the rear wing of Matt Holloway in front of him. Through turn 2, very reminiscent of what it's like at the Brickyard, which we will get to in just a couple of months' time. But through turn 3, Will Hite in the dirty air, losing a lot of momentum. As we cross the start-finish line, 2.5 miles here. And as I did mention, all 3 of these straights that connect the various corners, different lengths as well. So Will Hite down into 4th. We've seen cars use 3rd through turn 3 on occasion as well. But Will Hite in 4th, balancing on the weight jacker, the ARBs, those adjustments that the drivers have underneath them to be able to maximize the performance of the car. Look at the hands coming through turn 2. Will Hite really does seem to be struggling in this race as compared to performances in race past. Here comes Brendan Lichtenberg back down to the inside of the Team Talent brown car. And he runs that high line, feeds some dirty air. Oh, and here comes Jason Brophy from behind, on board with Jason Brophy as he sees Andrew Wood to the inside, too wide through turn 2. Never a exciting possibility. Lichtenberg is going to back out of this one. Brophy will sling it down the inside. He's trying to come up. He'll get the move done into turn 3. Brophy and Wood back up into the top 4 for the first time then since they came down onto pit road. And they've got 26 laps left to work. 4 seconds behind your race leader. Brandon Traino out front. Wants to end this season on the best way possible. Andrew Marquez, Chris Wilhite, they're scrapping it out. We've seen them fight on a number of occasions this year. Wilhite continues to struggle. Down into 11th now. Christian Steele in our YouTube chat. Weird to think about, but Traino and Lichtenberg might have the most starts in the iRacing Indy 500 by this year or the next. Of course, the Indy 500, one of the most long-running iRacing special events. Ooh, as we've got pit stops happening, so we'll get back to this point. Very interesting one that we can talk about. Lichtenberg onto the lane then. From 3rd position. Oh, sorry, from 5th position after falling behind Woodith and Brophy. Slides into his box up on the jacks. And all by himself. He should feed out into clean air. As he gets back up to speed. In fact, no, he might actually feed out right in front of his teammates. Not a bad situation if you're being completely honest with yourself. Lichtenberg out onto track then. Just over 20 laps to go. Chris Wilhite, the next taker down onto lane. Vilda Wallin as well down onto pit road. Pit lane going to be a very busy place over the next few laps then. This is the money stop. This is the one you need to nail. Lichtenberg, 8.5 seconds stationary in his box. That gives you an indication of how much fuel they are taking. It was about 10.1 seconds in their first pit stop in today's action. So Traino, Demerit separated by 0.2 of a second. Brophy and Woodith separated by 0.2 as well. Chris Wilhite, Vilda Wallin off of pit road, about 9 seconds stationary in each case. Woodith and Eek obviously do have slightly fresher tires. Maybe you come down slightly earlier. Don't try and run your tires as long as the others, because when Traino and Demerit come out of pit road on fresh rubber, they will eat into the advantage. You can see the gap there. It's almost the length of that front straightaway. Down into turn 1, Traino, Demerit dive. Brazil down onto pit road this time around as well. Just over 20 laps to go. Will Traino or Demerit come onto pit road this time around? Neither of them commit, so Marco Brazil will work his way back off of pit road right behind these cars. Try and use some of that drop, but I think he's a little bit too far behind. He might end up using Jason Brophy and Andrew Wood to build up speed. As third and fourth place working through turn one now. There you can see Brazil feeding out right in front of this grouping of cars. So will help them build up a little bit more speed, but might also compromise them. I think for a second, Jason Brophy just got very loose. Managed to hold on to it, but we get to talk to Brophy at the conclusion of this race. It'll be interesting to hear how that car was behaving. Woodith onto the pit road then. Safely down onto the pit road with a slight lockup on the right front, but no major drama in the number 15. Brophy still out there on track. Interesting to see Wood is the first car down in this battle for the race win. Does that compel either of your race leaders to come onto pit road? Brandon Traino, Christopher Demerit into turn 3 to complete lap 66. 20 laps left to go. They stay out there in the draft of their teammate Brendan Lichtenberg in front. Andrew Wood is going to come out right behind Lichtenberg. As we're going to spool up the replay machine. One of those types of races, it would appear, for Victor Santos. Unfortunately, down onto pit road once again. This time, speeding on entry, and I think that is the end of a very disappointing day for Victor Santos. Back to live pictures we go. Here comes Traino onto pit road. His teammate stays out there. We'll use the draft from Woodith and Lichtenberg to keep that momentum up. The champion in waiting then down onto pit road. Up on the jacks goes Traino as he rolls his way into the box. For the final time this season, Woodith down to the inside of Lichtenberg. Demerit uses this draft from behind. And Brandon Traino, 8.2 seconds stationary in the box. What does his teammate do from the race lead? Still staying out there on track, using the draft from the cars in front. And there is Brandon Traino out of turn 1. He'll have a sizable advantage over Lichtenberg and Woodith. 8 seconds between Traino and the grouping of cars. They're now chasing him down. We now await the arrival of Christopher Demerit, Jason Brophy, and Andreas Eek, the top 3 contenders, still not yet coming down onto the road to commit for the final time this season as well. A journey that started at Road America with lots of unknowns about a brand new tire model, brand new damage model. It's been very entertaining. And Christopher Demerit has taken part in almost every race this season for the final time down onto the pit road. Where will he feed out in relation to his teammate Brandon Traino? They're the ones squabbling over the race lead. Traino through 2. In a couple of months' time, Brandon Traino will return to the Brickyard to defend his iRacing Indy 500 crown, looking to become the third back to become the only person to do 3 titles back to back. He'll feed out right in front of his teammate. So Christopher Demerit on those colder tires. We'll have the draft of Traino. We'll see if we get a battle then between these 2 cars. Brophy onto the lane this time around as well. Looks like that battle then for third is going to start playing out at the conclusion of this pit stop. Brandon Traino, Christopher Demerit, they now lead by 6 seconds from Lichtenberg and Andrew Wood. And as Jason Brophy practices some pit stops. He'll be looking for the arrival of Lichtenberg and Woodith. Out of turn 3 they come. Brophy 8.5 seconds stationary on the lane. You can see there on the right-hand side, there comes the bright line machine. Here comes those cars up to pressure, up to speed already. And Brophy will, just like Demerit in front, use that draft to build up his momentum and then challenge for a third place finish in today's race. 13 laps to go at the conclusion of this one. Still waiting for Andreas Eek, Matt Hollebow, Christian Maccarelli to come down onto pit road. And so while these battles begin to start playing out, revisit that topic that was brought up in the YouTube chat. Apparently Brendan Lichtenberg, 17 top split Indy 500 starts. It might be speculation, though, about Tim Doyle and his number of top split Indy 500 starts. Question does have to be asked. Do we count number of top split starts, or do we count number of broadcast starts? Because two different questions. Two different races, if you ask me, and well, the Indy 500, one of the only races I would actually claim that. It was nice during Bathurst having the plethora of time slot options, and based on the data being presented on the iRacing forums, 4 time slots didn't necessarily mean that cars would get junked up and then jump on over to other time slots. It's always the concern when it comes to multiple time slots and that kind of thing, but when it comes to the Indy 500, qualifying being so important, it's that main broadcast slot that everyone wants to be in and everyone wants to win. Now, though, if you're asking me, you start counting broadcast 500 slots and also open wheel 500 starts as well. So, 2 different races that I think we will start tracking in our history books across the top finish line. Brendan Lichtenberg, Andrew Wood, side by side for that third and final step on the podium. As Jason Brophy lurks in from behind. Andreas Eek is coming off of pit road now, still waiting for Hollebow and Maccarelli from the front of the field. I'm just thinking as well, if we're claiming top split starts, I think I can say I've got a top split Indy 500 start based on a 2020 month of May. Was, of course, also chatting with Will Vincent just earlier today. And for Will Vincent, it's kind of a transition year, as many people do know. It's the year where will step back from active broadcasting responsibilities, focus in on growing RaceSpot, and a number of things that I can't talk about that are very exciting on the agenda for our team. But this battle for third really starting to pick up now. 10 laps to go. And it's Brendan Lichtenberg now in the back seat. On that outside, Jason Brophy trying to get below the yellow. Doesn't work for him this time. Andrew Wood will lead across the line then in that net third position. Matt Hollebow, the only car yet to come down onto pit road. Maccarelli has committed the last time around. Dakota saying those count. I know why you're saying those count, Dakota. It is an interesting question, and I think one that different people have different inputs on. And I think that's the great thing about sim racing. Side by side through turn 2, Lichtenberg very impressively sweeps his way down to the inside. Is he going to get up into third here? Hollebow down onto pit road then. That will put Traino and Demerit back to the front of the field. Across the line, Lichtenberg leads. But around the outside, I think Woodith will sweep back into third through turn 1. Behind as well, you can see Marco Brazil starts to go defensive as Andreas Eek closes in from behind. Looks like Alexis Newsom as well, trying to get in on some of the fun. Back towards this grouping for third place, though. There we go. At least I've gotten Dakota to admit it. Dakota does have 2 starts. Or what? Is it 2 starts? Is that Open Wheels 500 starts, I guess? I haven't managed to do that yet, but maybe at some point. Back to the point at hand, though. We'll be returning for the month of May. That's the one date that is booked on his calendar for every single year. Get to decide and realize if I'm going to be able to finagle my way onto the broadcast team for that. Otherwise, I might actually have to have a serious attempt at qualifying myself. Woodith loses momentum through turn 1. Draft for Lichtenberg will poke him to the outside through turn 2. This will be an exciting finish to the end. Gap out front, 1.5 seconds, so Christopher Demerit not challenging Treno, and it will be the perfect way to close off this season for the back-to-back Indy 500 race winner. Dakota's got 2 top split starts and 2 open wheels 500 starts. And as someone in our YouTube chat rightfully points out right after that, the entirety of his starts for the year. But, of course, a couple of years ago, I believe it was 2019, Tanner Watkins did a great job putting together the Indy 500 media guide, and Tanner, who has taken up a new position at the Lucas Oil Raceway, part of the marketing team after completing a partial season with the IndyCar race control team, blurring those lines between virtual and reality all the more. Lichtenberg around the outside is behind them as well. The weaving continues between Andreas Eek and Marco Brazil. Side by side into one they work. Eek down to the inside, and he'll sweep his way up in towards 6th position. But here comes the momentum back from Brazil. Can he get it down to the inside through turn 2? These guys fighting is compromising them with regards to the rest of the field. Alexis Newsom, 2.2 seconds behind, might want to try and take advantage of those guys squabbling. Five laps to go then in this season. It's been a entertaining season. Right off the bat, when the new tire model and the new damage model came out, we were trying to figure out what implications that would have on our IndyCar community, on the IndyCar racing as well. And it's been some amazing fights that you can go back and watch live on RaceSpotTV, on the ovals, on the road courses. Domination as well, it must be said, on the road courses, but when it comes to Adam Blocker in an IndyCar on a road course, it takes a very special driver to dethrone him. Across the line once more we come. This is going to come all the way down to the checkered flag. Should be a very fun finish to this end. We will be back next season as well, and I'll be joined by a commentary partner. Won't just be my voice in your ears. Once again, we must thank the community member that wants to stay anonymous for helping to bring those broadcasts live on RaceSpotTV to the IndyCar community on a Monday night. And Andrew Wood up into the wall. That's going to take him out of this battle for third place. It now becomes a 2-horse fight between Jason Brophy and Brendan Lichtenberg. Unfortunate end to the race then, an unfortunate end to the season for Woodith. But he has had some very impressive showings earlier this year. Also had some pretty disappointing finishes as well, but we won't focus on those too much. So Lichtenberg versus Brophy. Side by side through turn 2. Momentum lies with Jason Brophy. 2 laps to go across the line this time. Your race leader, Brandon Treno, 1.3 seconds clear. Just 5 miles to hold on to this championship as well. But 5 miles for these cars to round off this season with a podium position. Thank you, Philip. I don't know if my voice appreciates being abused like this for so long on a Monday, because, not gonna lie, it is feeling a little bit worse for the wear. Down the inside, Lichtenberg comes. That wall contact that Woodith has not taken him out of the fight, you know? on board. Let's jump with the Team Talent car to the outside. He's rolling his momentum. Brophy into the third position then. White flag in the air, 2.5 miles to go. And this should be a very exciting drag race to the finish line. We'll take a look at the race leader in a couple of moments' time, but let's focus in on this fight right now, because this is going to be some very exciting stuff. Jason Brophy slides his way into the race lead. Momentum from Lichtenberg, so he dives onto the inside. The RaceSpot sticker on Jason Brophy's car surely giving him an extra 5 horsepower down into turn 2. Through the tunnel turn, still side by side, checkered flag waves. It's going to be Brandon Traino coming across the line to take victory not just in Pocono, but this season as well, as what's been a dominant season for the i5G driver. But here's that drag race to the line. Brendan Lichtenberg manages to pip Jason Brophy, and it's an i5G 1, 2, 3 to finish off the season. The domination that Powerslide Motorsports enjoyed for many years here in the IndyCar iRacing Open Championship comes to a close. We crown a new champion, and his name, Brandon Traino, your 2-time Indy 500 champion. With the top 3 to finish off the season as well. How much better can it have gone for the i5G team? We'll manage to talk to them in post-race coverage in just a few moments' time. Let the celebrations begin then. They were hesitant to begin too early, but Traino finally does secure the championship. And these donuts, if slightly unsuccessful, will feel very, very sweet indeed. Question marks do remain about the second division championship, which of course Demerit and Lichtenberg were squabbling over, but I do believe with a third place finish, Brendan Lichtenberg should secure Division 2 honors as well as third place in this championship. Was waiting for that photo opportunity. There comes the third and final i5G driver. What a way to finish off the season. And let's go ahead and take a look at the race results for the final time in Season 1 of 2021. It is Brandon Traino for the i5G team, who takes race victory by just under 1 second and takes home this season's championship. Christopher Demerit comes home in second, and then the chasm to third is an incredible 12.3 seconds. It's an i5G 1, 2, and 3. Jason Brophy across the line in fourth, with Andrew Wood for Team Talent in fifth, Andreas Eek in sixth, Marco Brazil seventh, Alexis Newsom in eighth, Matt Hollabo across the line in ninth, Andrew Marquez in 10th. Chris Wilhite, the Ohio native, fighting for fourth place in the championship. That might drop him in towards fifth. Phil DeWallen in 12th, Christian Macarelli in 13th, and those were all of our lead lap finishers. Everyone else not making it to the checkered flag: Victor Santos, John Downing, Marcos Villar, AJ Burden, and Philip Kraus, those non-finishers. Very entertaining way then to close off this season, and we'll give it a couple of minutes, but hopefully we'll get in Brandon Traino, your brand new series champion, for a quick chat, as well as the likes of Christopher Demerit and Brendan Lichtenberg. For one final time, we will take a look at the schedule. Started off at Road America with lots of question marks about what the season would hold. If it was going to be Adam Blocker dominating once again, if it was going to be Brandon Traino posing a challenge. And at the end of the season, 12 long weeks later, grueling weeks if you ask the i5G team. No shots being thrown there at all, guys. Very exciting stuff, and hopefully next season we will continue this championship fight with more broadcasts live on RaceSpotTV on a Monday. One quick look at this series schedule. We'll kick it off in a couple of Mondays' time from Auto Club Speedway. Based on what we saw in Michigan earlier this season, that will probably be a very, very entertaining race. Week 2, we'll head to the Nürburgring Nordschleife for my favorite race of this entire season. Unfortunately, won't be able to participate but I will be broadcasting that with great intrigue. Twin Ring Motegi, Long Beach, Barber Motorsports Park, the Milwaukee Mile, Texas Motor Speedway, Circuit of the Americas, count me in for that one, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that will be our road race, Atlanta Motor Speedway before we return to the Brickyard for round 11 in the month of May itself, hopefully to align with the real-life Indy 500 as well. Season finale will be live from the streets of Detroit, the Belle Isle Street Circuit. So two street circuits this season. That will be a very, very interesting kind of a balance. Long Beach and Belle Isle, both street circuits, yes, but they race very, very differently, and be interesting to see how it works. We're going to go back to front because we're waiting for Brandon Traino to jump on into the booth. Let's bring on in Brendan Lichtenberg and talk to him about that race. Brendan, congratulations on third. Can you give us an update, by the way? Who has officially won Division 2, you or Christopher Demerit?
I don't know, actually. I gotta wait for the results. I think it'll be close, considering Chris finished ahead of me, even though he only has 7 weeks and I have dropped, so I'll have to wait and see.
Well, it was a fun race there. It was an interesting one as well. The very early caution saw some split strategies, Brendan. What was your thought on that? In our YouTube chat, some of the thinking was that coming down to pit road, giving you guys the clean air, basically played right into your hands, and the way it went for your teammates out front kind of indicates that was the case.
Yeah, I would agree. That's kind of what our focus was on, is just finding clean air. And we were kind of surprised people were pitting, especially 3 gallons in. It didn't really make any sense to us. So, yeah, we just prioritized track position the whole day. And at the end, I played a little bit alternate strategy coming in early, which was more out of necessity. I didn't want to do that, but it eventually worked out.
Well, a great way to close off this season as well for you guys. A top 3 finish, 1, 2, and 3. You lock out the podium. Are we going to see you guys a bit more regularly next season? It's going to be great to have continued broadcasts. And personally, it's been great having a bit of extra competition as well. So hopefully we get more of a championship fight next season as well.
Yeah, certainly I'll be driving. We'll see if Brandon and Chris drive, but I'll certainly at least make it for road courses. Definitely looking forward to the slate of the road courses next season, including the Nordschleife. I'm not sure how I'll make a track guide for that, but either way, I'm looking forward to driving that like I did last year.
Well, you know, if you need any help on a track guide for the Nordschleife, I'm your man, and I'm willing to help out as well. But congratulations then, Brendan. Really entertaining season, and what a way to close it off as well.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks a lot.
So that's Brendan Lichtenberg then, third place, and potentially your Division 2 champion. We will wait and see. But let's bring in his teammate then, Christopher Demerit. Chris, it was a very interesting race. I was just talking about it with your teammate. Not sure exactly how it played out for you at the front, because you guys kind of broke away from Brendan, and I don't know if you really challenged Brandon too hard.
I mean, definitely not right at the end, but I mean, every time up to that, we were basically just, one of us would just ride, and the other one would weave through the clean air. I'm not sure how I lost the time on the last pit stop, but that definitely cost me. I could gain very, very, very slowly, but I think it was just my pitting that cost me there. But otherwise, and it was a good race, and it would have been nice if we were closer together, but that's how it went.
Well, still a 1-2-3. Great way to close things off. Bit of a question for you from a setup kind of a philosophy here, Chris, because this does kind of race similar to what we'll see in a couple of months at the iRacing Indy 500. What are some of the takeaways you're taking away from not just this race, but Indy Elite yesterday from this track as well, in terms of what we're going to see in a couple of months, in terms of the racing action?
Yeah, we're definitely getting a pretty good idea of how this aero package handles in the draft behind other cars, and how far away, kind of how the tires fall off, although I'm sure it'll be a little bit different at Indy with different air options and different settings and track geometry and all that, but at least gives us a pretty good idea that it's probably going to be, you're going to want clean air, and if you're behind a few cars, it's going to be a struggle to get by them, and you probably will eventually, but you'll lose a bunch of time doing it, so it'll be interesting to come up with a strategy for that.
And it's a very eclectic kind of a schedule next season. We've got 2 street circuits, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and then a whole heap of very interesting ovals. If you have to pick one of the races next season that people have to tune in live on RaceSpotTV on a Monday to catch, which one do you think they should be watching? You know, personally, the season opener Auto Club, based on what we saw in Michigan, that might be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you know, I'll go for Auto Club because Auto Club's usually pretty good. I actually don't know how it's gonna race, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. Based off of how Michigan raced, I think Auto Club will be pretty good too. I think it'll be more of the lanes will be opened up. And I don't think it'll be easy for someone to get away, like kind of almost the opposite of this, where it's almost impossible for someone to break away. But it should be pretty fun. It should be clean racing.
Well, congrats on the second place result, Chris, and hopefully we'll see you then in a couple of weeks' time once again on the podium at Auto Club.
Thank you. See ya.
So that was Christopher Demera, and then rounding out the 3 i5G cars on the podium, let's bring in your brand new series champion, Trano. It was a championship coronation for you in effect today, with Adam Blocker fulfilling his own obligations in the IndyCar paddock, a circumstance I know you're very familiar with, but race win as well. What a way to close off a very entertaining season, and one where I think you really, as a driver, both on the road and the oval side, really had to develop yourself a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a fun season. We had some really strong results, and like you said, we've improved on the road side. It's not one of my strongest seats, but you know, as the season went on, we definitely got better. It's a shame Blocker couldn't have been here tonight, but I think with the whole point system and how it works, I don't think he really had enough if he won. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, no, I'm really happy to come out in my first season after a good couple-year hiatus and stand on the top step.
And now we head into Season 2. I've asked you on a number of occasions what the schedule is going to hold, so I won't ask you one more time. Instead, I'm going to ask you about what this race is going to indicate for you come the month of May, come the Indy 500. You have the opportunity to make history, 3 back-to-back race wins, but with that comes a lot of pressure. You clearly have a very good car in clean air, but of course we know the Indy 500 is not just about clean air, it's about managing the race overall. What do you think you guys have to work on as a team over the next couple of months building up to this big race?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We have some work to do. We started testing a couple weeks ago. I know for the open wheels 500, our car wasn't really that good in dirty air. Power slide definitely had a little bit of an advantage, but with the new tire model, I believe it's going to be a whole new playing ground. So I think if we can nail our set like we have the last couple of years, we'll be pretty good.
Well, we don't usually let people have free time to just thank everyone, Trano, but given what a year it was, or what a season it was, rather, the floor is yours. Thank everyone on the team that's built up this incredible season, and hopefully we'll see it happen next year as well.
Yeah, as always, the guys at i5G, Demers, Lichtenberg, Steele, Burton, Pavelski, just everybody over there, and Apex Racing for taking me on this year to help build their data packs for the car. It's been fun, and it's taught me a lot about the car that I really didn't know. So we've definitely found a couple things that I think we can transfer over, especially come May. But yeah, just hats off to those guys. They've really helped me this year, and we put in a really good season.
Well, congrats, Trano. Hopefully, with more broadcasts coming on a Monday, we get to see part 2 of Trano versus Blocker taking place next season. But if not, come May, we know that all eyes will focus on the Brickyard and the challenge ahead. Congratulations on an incredible season, and we'll see you next time on RaceSpotTV.
Thank you.
So, your new series champion breaking the stranglehold that Powerslide Motorsports have had on this championship. For the first time in just under 3 years, a new champion has emerged, and hopefully it's not going to take that much longer for a new champion as well. Brand new tire model, a brand new damage model, and a brand new hope that the iRacing IndyCar community continues to build up. Next season is all about the month of May. The Indy 500, the biggest race the Indy cars have. We'll visit the Brickyard not once, but twice in this championship before we get to the iRacing Indy 500. This is our season schedule, and you can catch it all live on RaceSpotTV, thanks to the very generous contribution from one of our community members. Auto Club, Nürburgring, Motegi, Long Beach, Barber. What a way to start a season off. And then you look at that at the end. Coda, 2 trips to the Brickyard, Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is going to be a very fascinating race, and then the streets of Detroit to crown a new champion. Thank you for tuning in over the course of this season live on RaceSpotTV, and a reminder, you can follow us for more sim racing action across of social media at RaceSpotTV, across YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. If you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, you should hit the button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with the great sim racing series we get to cover. For the final time this season, then, I bid you farewell. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, and I'm delighted you've spent part of your Monday evening with me here live on RaceSpotTV. I've had track cameras from Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com at my disposal. Additional car cameras provided by RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxson. Thank you to Timing 71 as well for live timing and scoring provided by our partners over there. You can follow along with the best in the real and virtual world using their world-class suite of data analysis tools. But in 2 weeks' time, we'll return on a Monday for more IndyCar official competition. Until then, so long, and see you next time on RaceSpotTV.